Welcome back to News at 11 o'clock. I'm Kevin Ryans. I'm now joined by Sydney Hammer, our own NCC sports reporter, who is here to talk about some of the big news that happened in Syracuse athletics today. We had, of course, Mike Hopkins moving over to Washington to be the head coach of that team over there, and also Jim Boeheim getting a contract extension. So first, I want to go over to Hopkins. What do you think was the main reason for Mike Hopkins leaving Syracuse and going to Washington?
Well, you know, Kevin, I think he looked at his buddies, Chris Collins at Northwestern and Steve Wojciechowski, who were both in similar positions under Coach K at Duke. You know, they've both been able to grow their own programs and work from the ground up. And I think he was kind of envious of them, and now I think he wants to start his own program just like they did.
How did the fan base and other people react to this whole situation with Mike Hopkins leaving?
Right. You know, Kevin, I think that the Syracuse fans are overall happy for Mike Hopkins. They've watched him grow as both a player and a coach for the Orange, and he's been with the program since 1989, you have to keep in mind. And I think all Syracuse fans will agree there'll be Washington Husky fans as long as they aren't playing the Orange.
All right, so this has major implications for Syracuse. Of course, Mike Hopkins was the head coach designate, and also, you know, he was associate head coach and a lead recruiter for SU. So what do you think this means for the Orange?
You know, in the short term, not so much. It doesn't really mean a lot because as of 2017, the recruits have committed to honoring their letter of intent. But in the long term, however, it's going to be more difficult to convince a kid to come play for the program with the uncertainty of if Jim Boeheim will be there for their players' whole career and who the successor will be if Boeheim decides to leave, you know. And before the kids even knew if Boeheim retired, he would still have the comfort in knowing of who the next head coach will be. And since Mike Hopkins is there, they'll have that uncertainty.
All right, so of course, we were mentioning before, Mike Hopkins going over to Washington, Jim Boeheim signing a contract extension. Who do you think is going to replace Hopkins now?
Right now, it's up in the air. We're not really sure. It could be Adrian Autry or maybe Jerry McNamara. Again, like I said, they might do an out-of-house program or in-house promotion. Right now, it's unclear who Hopkins' successor with Jim Boeheim will be.
Do you think this came as a surprise to Syracuse? Because obviously they had this whole plan in place going in with Mike Hopkins becoming the head coach after next season, Jim Boeheim retiring. Do you think this came as a surprise to John Wildhack and Jim Boeheim over at Syracuse?
Yes, this definitely came out of the left field. I think Mike Hopkins has been with Syracuse for so long, and I think now that he's been linked to several jobs, such as USC in 2013, but I think this is a good move for him, and I think overall Syracuse fans are generally happy for him. But, you know, Boeheim has now, like with Boeheim's contract extension, he has served Syracuse for 41 seasons, and in 2015, Boeheim initially said he was going to retire after the 2017-2018 season, and that Hopkins was going to be the next head coach after him. But things quickly turned around after that.
Yeah, and you know, obviously Jim Boeheim, you know, during the press conference was putting to bed some of the rumors that were out there. Correct?
Correct. And Jim Boeheim actually has something to say about Mike Hopkins' departure. Let's take a look at that.
When Mike came to me at 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon in tears and said, I got an unbelievable opportunity. I was so happy because he was happy. That was my only thought. Mike Hopkins is like a son to me.
So Boeheim is rooting for Hopkins, as you can tell. He said that he's just like his son, and they've been through a lot together, and he only wants success to come his way, as well as the Syracuse fans. And I think with his resume and reputation with the Orange, I think it will only lead to Hopkins' success, and I think Syracuse is really looking forward to seeing that come.
All right, Sydney Hammer with all of the good stuff from today over at SU Athletics. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And when we come back, we'll have one last check at the weather right here at NCC News at 11.